Dark, episode number 3. The lines are out. We've got a lot to talk about, and it's your time to shine right here on Gamebreaker After Dark. You guys got nothing to complain about. If you don't like where the show's going, you need to call right in. Joining us from PST, Tankspot.com, and the Weekly Marmot, Josh Allen, aka Lord.
PST, Tankspot.com, and the Weekly Marmot. All of those things.
I was trying to get over to turn the audio down. I wasn't sure if that was really loud or not, so I had to get over there quick. And
no, it's cool. It's cool.
Once again, bringing 99% of the sass right here on After Dark. We decided to bring Darnell back.
Hello, I'm fashionista. Gosh darn it! At least that's what I think your show says. Can you mind standing up so I can read the whole thing? Thank you.
No darn it.
Damn,
Darnell.
I guess.
No darn it.
Suddenly, the yellow dress makes all kinds of sense.
it honestly does, because I
Such a
am
fashionista.
A fashionista, setting the trends. All right, we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot of callers waiting, but tonight I want to jump in on one of the hot topics that I believe we heard a little bit about last week, but it actually has just gone live recently. Is League of Legends is deciding to jump in and do a honor system to reward players for positive feedback in League of Legends. I think this is a great thing that they're doing to help kind of motivate the community. Especially in MOBAs, I'm finding that the community can be very hard to deal with at times. So it's interesting to see them actually coming up with a way for players to give positive feedback and get rewarded for it.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting take on the whole thing. I mean, the community for so long has revolved so much around, oh my god, noob reported, oh my god, noob reported. And it'll be interesting to see if that community can handle the ability to say nice things about each other. Can League of...
Is that in the capacity of gamers? Can MMOers and MOBA players be nice? Really? Is this gonna work? Darnell, would you give positive feedback and be a constructive player and help your team if you were playing League of Legends with some internet people?
Yeah, you know, I'm thinking about ways that might come in, maybe ways we could kind of make that work. Let's see. So Lo, for example, yeah, I think your hair is fantastic. It's a really nice throwback to the 1970s, like 1976 or something. And I'm really glad you decided to go ahead and bring that back. You know, because nobody's doing that. Like, seriously, nobody is doing that at all. So you get to be the one guy to bring that back. See, this is positive feedback. This is the kind of stuff we talk about. That's positive, right? Come on.
+2 rep to Darnell for right there. You should get a free champion for that.
I'm reporting you for harassment.
That's the wrong kind of harassment, Josh. The wrong kind of harassment. All right, well, this is, after all, Gamebreaker After Dark, so let's jump in and start taking your guys' questions. Caller, we got you on the line with Gamebreaker After Dark. Tell us your name and tell us where you're from.
Hi, Dominoes.
Dominoes again? Do we hit redial?
What?
Damn.
Hi, this is Mark from Winnipeg, aka WA Spacebar in the chat.
Oh, it's WA Spacebar.
Oh, WA Space.
Quickly,
What's up, guys? What? Where? Oh.
I think Gary died in the background. Does somebody got a res for him?
I don't. I only have cake.
Dang. Oh, cake. You got my attention. All right. What's your question?
Do you with regarding voice talent, do you see should should movies and games bring more quality voice talent as a precedent over quantity? For example, the Mass Effect, Metal Gear Solid games, Final Fantasy, etc.
So quality voice content over quantity. It's something that we actually see happening a lot with voiceover talent. Is especially where we're starting to get celebrities who are taking the jobs of a lot of good voice acting talents out there because of the celebrity appeal of, hey, this is so and so versus the really good. They're duck our gerbs.
Yeah.
But that is a really good question. I think that, to me personally, that also kind of sparks the idea of what a lot of people's hate for English dubbed anime is the quality of it is so much better when you're watching the original that was done by the Japanese. So that's an interesting thing. I think for me personally, I always want quality. I want to believe what's going on in the dub or the game or the scenario. And it's more important that you get a good voice actor who can really evoke emotion and invoke the feelings out of you to make you believe the environment you're in, whether that be a TV show, whether that be a video game. You know, you bring up Final Fantasy in terms of voice acting, and I kind of think of the hilarity of the scene. I forget the specific moment, but there was such a bad. I believe it was when Yuna was trying to talk to Titus, and there was this really awkward moment in Final Fantasy X. And it just they stand out like a sore thumb if you don't get people who can deliver it properly. What do you guys think about video game dubs? You know, we're starting to see it a lot more. We're starting to see it with Guild Wars, with Star Wars: The Old Republic. We're seeing a lot more voiceovers in the Mist of Pandaria. Not so much cutaway cutscenes, but I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
Well, you know, I think the biggest thing that kind of gets on my nerves sometimes, especially for some of the games that come over and the people that go on VO them, is that sometimes, you know, the voice don't really match the lips when they move.
Godzilla, it comes to mind, but that's because it was Japanese. It was literally the Japanese video over American audio. I can understand that. Well, you're more talking if English dubs redo it, and it not matching up, correct?
Hey, real quick, I'm just gonna say this. Whoosh! All right, go ahead, Lord.
Well, you know, Darnell, that's actually a very, very terrible thing to say, because some characters don't have lips. They just don't have them. And it's really difficult for those characters to express themselves sometimes.
Or it's really easy to make that lip sync happen when you don't have to actually go and match the mouth moving when you don't have a lower jaw, Darnell. Just because you have it easy like the rest, you have it easier than the rest of the world.
Yeah, that's right. I do. I guess I do, huh? I just use magic. There we go, magic. Works out.
I think there's definitely something to be said for having really good voice acting, and I do think that bad voice acting takes away from the experience more than not having voice acting at all. Random example that comes to mind of no particular bias whatsoever. Betrays you! Yeah, that still haunts me in my sleep, and I wish that had never happened. Whereas, you know, you get something like Stormstop Brewery, where the dude's like, yes, yes, no, 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 yes, yes, no, peppers! And it's kind of amazing, and I just really, really like that line. So,
but is it? Do you like that line because it seems kind of almost out of place? Well, but do you like it because it's so awkward?
It's awkward in a believable fashion, though. You get the actual sense with that line that this guy's actually just completely insane. You get the sense that, okay, it's not like if someone was like, yes, no, 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 yes, no peppers. It doesn't work that way.
Getting that inflection right, you know, speaking from the diaphragm.
Yeah, you see it all the time in different, like even in a game like Star Wars: The Old Republic, there were some lines that the voice actors sold really, really well, and you were right there with them. Never even occurred to you that it was a voice actor. It was that character on the screen that was talking to you. Then you had other characters where they're just like, we have to get back to the Death Star, Captain Obvious. I don't think that was actually a line that they ever used ever, but there was.
I want to know where Captain Obvious is in Star Wars: The Old Republic. Yeah. That's my question.
Han Solo, quickly.
That dude got a poop. Damn, first poop joke of the night. Oh, #1 Darnell. Here we go.
Did you ever see a bathroom on the Death Star?
Damn.
Wow.
Why do you think Darth Vader was so mad all the time?
That's true.
I
guess
constipated.
The one thing I gotta say though is I just want jobs to go to Steve Blum and my main man Nolan North. I gotta rep them. I gotta get behind them. I'm gonna stop that there before Darnell even remotely makes any sort of joke on that one. All right, let's take it to another caller and see what else we got out there. Caller on the line with Gamebreaker After Dark. Welcome. Tell us your name and microphone movement. Tell us your name and where
I'm
you're
on.
from. You are on.
Excellent. Okay.
You.
Oh, even better. No. I'm Chaos Infinium. I'm from the Northwest. Yes, I like being big. Yeah.
Don't
My
give away
question is
that specific spot in the Northwest, so I can't make an allusion to the fact that I've lived nearby.
You've lived nearby.
Can you hear me? No. Your microphone's in your mouth.
Oh well, fine. Yeah. My question is this: given that a lot of MMOs like to do pop culture and little side notes and subtle things left and right, do you think maybe that's gone a little out of hand with more recent MMOs?
That's a really good question, just based on the fact that, we do see that more and more. The first thing that popped in my mind when he brings up pop culture is the integration of Gangnam Style as dances, and we see it, we see different references. We've seen Plants vs. Zombies integrated, different culture phenomenons getting thrown into games, but gosh, I don't know, does that ruin it at all?
Did you say Gundam Style?
Gangnam Style. Gundam Style? Did he say Gundam Style? Because I want to see that video made.
It's. Never mind.
I don't know. What do you guys think though? Does adding these elements to the game ruin it? Because I think the argument so much is the fact that it takes you out of the experience. And maybe brings you back into reality instead of immersing you in this world, and then it suddenly makes you remember, oh wait, I am just playing a game. I feel like that's the direction of where the negativity can come from it. Do you guys maybe see any other way?
I don't know. I think there's a lot of cases where it depends on the game, right? If you saw a pop culture reference, like just a raw, like if you were in Star Wars: The Old Republic and Lady Gaga walked up to you, you'd be like, oh, well, that's completely and totally inappropriate, and not just because it was Lady Gaga, just because it's that sort of thing that doesn't belong in that sort of environment. In a game like World of Warcraft, where everything's tongue-in-cheek all the time anyway, I mean, we got freaking pandas, man.
Pandas are serious. I don't know about you, but I heard that Blizzard never joked about pandas once.
No, seriously, never. No, they were
always in the game.
I think it just depends on the environment. If it's a game that already just doesn't take itself super seriously in that respect, then it's totally fine. If it's a game where everything is like super extreme hardcore all the time, I mean, there's games that can get away with references like that every once in a while too. Like there's a ceiling cat reference in Guild Wars 2, and it's amazing. It is the most amazing thing in that game.
You said super serious, and then I immediately thought of South Park. I want to see Man Bear Pig put in as a raid boss into an MMO.
I knew a druid who went by the name Man Bear Pig for a while. He was basically a raid boss. He was basically a raid boss.
But I gotta say, I personally agree with you. I like seeing these funny little quirky things. Because it's nice to see on the reverse side. It's nice to see, it makes you kind of feel special as a World of Warcraft player or any kind of MMO player when you see your joke tastefully portrayed in other settings. I hate, again, I'm going to use South Park as a reference. I hate Make Love Not Warcraft, but I absolutely love seeing it and just all the jokes within it, and it kind of it feeds into that culture that I've grown up on, and it makes it kind of fun and happy. So that's why I like seeing it the other way as well.
Yeah, I guess all I really got to say is sometimes they use pop culture references to try to be funny and they ain't funny. instead of just being funny to begin with. That's all. Just be funny. Don't think, damn, it'd be really awesome if we had something really funny right here. Oh, I know, we should make a pop culture references. Bitches love pop culture references, and they throw it in. That's it.
That's
I will admit that the quest in Crasserang Wilds, where you have to take the arrow out of the guy's knee to continue walking along, I may have facepalmed for a good 4 or 5 minutes. That's actually why I didn't get server first, was because I spent entirely too much time facepalming at that particular reference.
Is that due to oversaturation of the joke? Because Arrow to a Knee made it all the way from like to music videos. I think even like an episode of NCIS. Like that's just because overall that joke got overplayed.
Yeah, no, totally. That's the case of a joke that I'm pretty sure it made its way in when it was funny still for the whole 5 minutes that people were still laughing about that, and then it just kind of stuck around. And that's it. That is an issue. This is kind of interesting, actually. That is an issue that you run into when making pop culture references in something like an MMORPG, is because there's development time that you add on top of it. So if the joke is funny now, is it going to be funny in 6 months when your product actually releases? When you come out with something like, if someone came out with a Gangnam Style, like someone put a Gangnam Style reference in a quest in, say, WildStar, for example, which is still in development. If there was a Gangnam Style reference in WildStar, when WildStar comes out in, I don't know, a year, 2 years, however long it's going to take for that game to actually get finished, I don't know how far along in development it is. When WildStar eventually releases, are people going to look at that and go, oh, Gangnam Style. Yeah, I remember that.
I think, but does maybe that lie within, and you never know, you never know how far or how viral your idea is going to go. Like Arrow to the Knee could classify this as well, but is that, or something like that, running the risk of just trying to fall into something that's kind of like a underground kind of cult reference that 2 years down the road, when it's no longer relevant, the people who remember it will kind of get a little bit of a tickle out of it.
Yeah,
you almost have to wait. Like you almost have to either get it out, really get your pop culture reference in when it's viral, or you have to kind of wait an extended period so that it's a memory instead of just feeling like it's outdated.
Yeah, no, it's definitely just a risk. Like, who knows how the arrow in the knee thing was going to be received, where it was something that was funny. It's almost like the cake is a lie nowadays, where, yeah, sure, it was funny when we saw it in that game, and then it was funny for like 5 minutes when people were referencing it, but it's something you got over in a big hurry. So that's not something that you can look at and say, this is funny, but this is only 5 minutes, but this is arrow to the knee funny. This over here, this is, I don't know. I can't think of anything funny right now.
All right.
Damn.
Well, we'll just throw it over to the default
funny.
here. This next question is brought to you by Netflix. That's right. We'll go one step farther. This question is brought to you by the game, which is available right now on Netflix. All you got to do for a 30-day trial is head on over to netflix.com and you can watch the game.
Oh,
That's
hey,
right.
that movie came out when you were born. I remember that one. Yeah.
All right, caller, you are on the air with Gamebreaker After Dark. Tell us where you're from and give us your name.
What's up, guys? I'm Nick from San Diego, California.
Nick.
What's up?
Nick.
Yo.
So, hey, my question to you guys is, as internet personalities, do you guys feel extra pressured to play or not play Game X based on how much hype or hate is surrounding it?
That is a really good question. Guys, do you have any thoughts before I go? I've gone twice.
Already?
We've had 2 questions. I just didn't want
Yeah,
to.
I just got started. I just got warmed up.
No, that's fine. I'll keep going.
I'm only like halfway so far. Jesus.
Darnell gets him there twice before he even gets warmed up. I'm talking about, yeah, whoosh,
No,
yeah.
I think that is definitely, you definitely feel the pressure because you want to seem versatile. You want to kind of keep your hand extended in many pools so that you aren't just a personality of one thing. And this is again I'm gonna reference Mike B's videos that he's been making, kind of informing people about how they want to, if they want to get involved in this and how they can do it. And he uses Guild Wars as a wonderful example. On his YouTube page, he talks about how certain videos during the hype of Guild Wars, just you see this climb, and as soon as the game releases, you see a decline because the access to the general public is finally there, and you lose traffic. And it's very important that you don't, especially if you want to exist and not be known as the World of Warcraft guy or the Guild Wars guy. You want to make sure that you are putting.
Whoa, wait. What's wrong with being known as the World of Warcraft guy? I'm just kind of wondering. Is something wrong with that?
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. You guys are branching out. Josh, you've got APM. You do a whole bunch of industry gaming related talk. Darnell, you're doing Let's Plays. Like, you guys are, even you guys who have found your bulk and got started based on World of Warcraft. Even now, you guys are branching out and starting other games. And Josh, you talk about, you know, jumping into PlanetSide and Firefall, and you guys are doing it probably partially out of personal interest, but I think you're also doing it to widen your opinions and your basis in terms of being a gaming personality. I think it's important. It is important, and you do feel pressured.
Yeah, Lord, why don't you go and tell us about your bulk?
You know, I've been trying to work on that. I have a flight of stairs I've been walking up, but no. It's an interesting question of perspective, really. I think, in my case, sure, I guess there's technically pressure for me to play all sorts of different games, but I freaking like to play all sorts of different games. So it's the kind of pressure that's like, here, you must eat this cake. And I'm like, all right. All right, bring it on. Like, I think it does take especially if you are looking to do the sort of online content where you branch out into multiple games, it takes the sort of personality where that's something you actually enjoy doing. I'm the kind of guy who I can pick up a game, I can play it once for 6 hours and go, well, excuse me, that was a really, really enjoyable 6 hours for me, and then never touch it ever again and not feel like super angry about it. I'll just be like, yeah, well, that was a whole lot of fun. I really enjoyed those 6 hours that I played in this particular game, and I'm done with it now. I mean, obviously you want to be able to give those games the amount of time that's necessary to give it a good judgment if you're doing like full-on game reviews or something like that. But like, I would be interested to ask Mike B how many of the Indie for Breakfast, for example, he's gone back and played again after doing the Indie for Breakfast for him. I would imagine there's probably several of them, but probably not all of them by any stretch of the imagination. That's just the type of personality that is necessary for that sort of thing. You have to like being able to play all sorts of different games. In my case, it's not so much like doing something like On Tap. It's not so much that I sit down and go, oh God, all right, I've got to play Torchlight 2 today. Jesus. No, it's more like, ooh, I have an excuse to play Torchlight 2. I have a reason to play this new game that just came out. I have a reason to jump over here and play some PlanetSide 2 for a little bit, or a reason to jump over into Firefall, or AirMech, or something like that. Go use my referral link for AirMech. You should use that. But no, I think it's just I think it's just a question of perspective, really. Are you looking at it as I have to play these games, or I get to play these games and then talk about them? To me, that's the real motivation for me. It's just something I like doing. It's a lot of fun for me.
And see, here's a problem too, right? Check this out. Well, not necessarily a problem, but check this out. So people, they get to know you as a personality and such, you know, they kind of like the things that you say, like you say words and stuff. They're like, oh, snap, that's funny. He said that word. And then that's it, right? And then they say it to you every single time you go out in public. They're like, oh, hey, yeah. Oh, boom, flower. That's really funny. Yeah, thank you very much. But anyways, so check this out. Look, they kind of get to know you as a person, right? Then they check out these games. They're like, damn, I wonder what Darnell would say about that game. It'd be kind of awesome if he went ahead, you know, and he kind of, you play that game and kind of voice his opinions and stuff on it, because, you know, I kind of like his opinions and I respect him as a personality and such, and he's also kind of attractive, and he's also, you know, available and such,
and doesn't have a lower jaw. But just saying, ladies, he doesn't have a lower jaw, but you know, yeah. So you know what I'm saying, right? Like, they kind of want to know what you think about it, you know, because they know you as a personality. They kind of want to get you in there to play the game so they can see just how terrible your ass is, and they can leave all kinds of comments about how terrible your ass is, and remind you every single time, even when you get better at something, about how terrible you was when you first started out. Damn, I hate them guys all the time.
That's honestly the best part. That's the best part of watching, especially a first impression series, when you jump into it and there's Mike B spending an hour and a half trying to figure out that he needs to drop an item on the ground before he can continue on through the rest of the area that he's stuck in.
Damn, if only Mike B was here to defend himself. Boy, that's really sad that y'all had to pick on him behind his back, as because if he was here, he'd probably say something really funny, and y'all be like, damn, Mike B got me again.
Dang, Darnell, you are so bad at Clop. I watched that video. It was just horrendous. How can you not press Q and W after you've been playing for no minutes? It's 2 buttons, Darnell. 2 buttons.
I don't even think I had more than 2 legs, actually. So, you know.
All right. Well, speaking of games and other things, I think this is kind of an interesting
games.
Speaking of video games, allusion to the transition. Something that happened just recently was Ultima Online turned 15. I think it was, again, just between last week and this week. And it got me thinking of something that'd be kind of a fun question to throw out there of what MMO got you guys started in MMOs. I know for me, my personal one was called Tibia. And I spit it out occasionally, and it's a really fun MMO that I remember, and it was I don't know. I was kind of wondering what got you guys into MMOs. What was your guys' first MMO, and what was your experience like?
Femur.
What was it about? Obviously, it's an MMO. I don't know if you're being serious or not. I've never heard of Femur.
I'm making fun of you because yours was called Tibia.
Ah, shit. Why didn't I pick that up?
Oh damn! Oh, that was a joke. Boom! Mind blown. Exploded.
Anarchy Online, best MMO ever created. It's great.
Darnell, what was your first? Besides,
oh come on! You just gotta skip me. You don't have to ask. Like it's obvious. I don't know what video game maybe I played first. Damn. Oh, maybe there's something around here that might remind me of what it is that. Damn, what's this game? What is it? Let me go and check real quick. Hold on. Hell is he? Maybe he's in here somewhere. What game do you guys see? Oh God, I won't take it. What game is this? I don't know. Where am I? Hello, boom, something words. Yes, submit. Thank you very much. I'll let you know when they get back to me.
Let us know when Blizzard gets back to you about that ticket. I'm interested to know the answer. The other thing that's really cool that's coming out that's kind of MMO based is we've touted World of Warcraft as picking up pet battles as being like a Pokemon MMO, and we caught wind this week. I could be wrong. Has this existed, or is this something that's in development? Like they're making this. I've seen a lot of people giving out screenshots. I think I saw Laughter posting screenshots of her playing, but there is a Pokemon MMO now. It exists. They're creating some sort of mod for Pokemon Red and letting people go in and jump in and play Pokemon the MMO. I'm excited.
Sorry, I had a sudden nap I had to take.
No excitement whatsoever over that. Really?
I'm too old for Pokemon.
That doesn't matter. It's still a great game.
And I'm not even a real person.
I borrowed my little cousin's Game Boy to play it for all of about 5 minutes and went, oh, this seems like a kid's game. I missed it. I was too old.
You missed the boat. Am I really showing my age right now and how excited I am?
No, I think I'm just old.
Well, then,
not as old
okay.
as Mike B, but still
then
old.
let's consider the fact that this is something that just surfaced. I'm almost positive that it's started development, and it's kind of coming now that we've gotten pet battles. Do you think that World of Warcraft's pet battle system has been received well enough that kind of pushed people to maybe try and figure out how to make this work and make it work? Because I haven't had a chance to really jump in and flesh out my pet battle experience, but it seems deep enough to the point where people will pick up Mists of Pandaria just to do pet battles.
Well, hold on a minute. For a minute there, I thought you were saying something like, since World of Warcraft went ahead and took the Pokemon thing and put it inside a thing, do you think the other games might go ahead and take it because it's popular and put it on their game? So basically what you're saying is, Blizzard stole this over here, and then they made it popular, then someone else stole from Blizzard. So are we going to start saying Blizzard came up with the Pokemon thing?
Idea. All Pokemon's doing is integrating the MMO. They're taking the MMO and putting it into Pokemon when Blizzard took Pokemon and put it in their MMO. I'm not worried about the back and forth, but it's I guess it's more a question of how well are pet battles being received by the general public right now. Is
a young dog in here somewhere. I swear there's a Yo Dog in there somewhere. I heard it. It's around here somewhere. Never mind.
Is that a Pokemon too? A Yo Dog?
A Yo Dog. I choose you, Yo Dog. All right, we finally have someone else on the line here, so sorry about that. But wonderful.
I'm very sorry for all the Pokemon.
Clearly, because you guys do not care about Pokemon whatsoever.
I like pet battles.
Caller, we got you on the line with Gamebreaker After Dark. Tell us your name and tell us where you're from.
Hi, I'm Tim from Ontario, Canada.
Microphone in the mouth all the time. Hey, how's it going?
Not in my mouth, don't know.
All right, I was just asking.
Yo, don't know, just chill.
You gotta say, you gotta learn. Right. You gotta give sass back to Darnell every time he gives it out.
Yeah, well, he wasn't scared. He was just like,
I don't know what you did in your childhood if you've never played Pokemon. What was your childhood like?
Yeah.
But okay, back to my serious question.
I've got a panelist on here that liked Pokemon. All right, I want to keep you on the show. We're kicking you guys off. Caller, tell us. I don't think we got your name yet. Tell us your name and where you're from.
My name's Tim. I'm from Ontario, Canada. So,
what's your question?
You're gonna probably hate me because it's a Blizzard-related question. But with Paragon going to 10-mans, how many top guilds would have to fail to fill the rosters for Blizzard to lower their raid limit and from like 25 down to say like 20 or something, or will they always keep the 25-man there just for the so many guilds that stay?
So you're asking how many 25-man guilds have to be stuck at 20 people before they say, all right, screw it, we're just going to go with 20 instead of 25?
Yeah, basically. Well, I'm not just saying like 20 as a number. Since like you said, like Paragon has, they said that they can't fill the 25-man roster.
Well, I think that... I think the important thing to remember about Paragon's particular setup is they are extremely picky about their people. Like, extremely picky. Like, everybody goes, oh, I'm sure there's lots and lots and lots of people that would like to join Paragon's team. Yeah, there's very few of those people that Paragon would actually want to have on their team. They went through something that 2 years ago would have just straight up killed Paragon. They would have just disbanded. Instead, they had the option of dropping down to 10-man instead. So I think looking at Paragon's specific case, it is kind of hard to really say that, oh yeah, because Paragon had an issue, there's an issue here. They are very, very picky about the people that they're going to raid with, which is fine. It's just that's the situation that's come up here. I think what is more likely to happen than Blizzard looking at the state of 25-mans and saying, okay, well, 25-mans are failing, or lots of 25-man guilds are failing, or something like that. Instead of looking at it and saying, okay, well, we need to drop down the size of the raid, I think it would be more likely for them to start to incentivize 25-mans more again. They're already starting to do that a little bit in Tier 14. They're giving basically an extra piece of gear over what they were giving in Dragon Soul to the 25-man guilds, so the 25-man guilds will gear up slightly faster. I don't think it's quite to the point where it should be yet to sort of balance out the extra work that goes into managing a 25-man guild, but it is something at the very least that they're looking into and messing with. I kind of don't think we would see them drop down to they've talked about it a lot, and how honestly, like, they keep saying things like, well, if we could do it all over again, we would have just gone with 15-man raid sizes and just had 15-man raid sizes or something like that, just because that kind of scales well. But I kind of don't think we'll see that in World of Warcraft, at least not for another 2 or 3 expansions at the least, should the game continue to go on that long.
To me, I think the answer also lies in the fact that you're dealing with, if it's a matter of 20, like if they cut the number back to 20, then at that point you have the group of 20, but you can almost split it up into 2 10-man raids. And I feel like that's why they kept it the way they did, was because if you have if you get up to the point where your guild is running 2 10-man raids, then you can maybe try and find 5 more people and form that 25-man guild. But that's kind of why I think they always took a stance on trying to make it so that 10 and 25-man raids dropped the same loot. They normalized them. You can only run one or the other. It seemed like they kind of took the stance of, you don't have to choose. If you can't run with 25 people, you can still go do 10. and get the same experience out of it. You're just running it with less people because you don't have enough to make up those numbers. Didn't they come out and say something like that early on, Josh? I think right around the time of Cataclysm.
I don't remember exactly what they were saying back then. It was just kind of the idea of trying to present a similar experience. It's not going to be the same experience ever. That's why a lot of current 25-man raiders are saying, well, the reason I raid 25-man is because I like the 25-man environment. Which, side note, is why 25-man raiding isn't dying, and people need to quit saying that.
I was going to say, do you think that's the other statement there is just because Paragon is having trouble filling the 25 people, Paragon is one of those games that it's like, oh, Paragon, I know who they are, but it's not like the whole world's ending because Paragon can't fill their slots. Well, and it's a self-inflicted thing, is basically what I was saying earlier. They chose to say, no, all these people that are applying to this guild, all of the, they require you to be able to speak, was it Finnish, I think is the language that they speak in Paragon? They require you to be able to speak that on top of having all these other requirements, and that's just a pretty small sample size of people. And if they just don't happen to mesh with the handful of people that would apply for that position and fulfill all those requirements, then yeah, it makes total sense for them to drop down to 10-man. It's just obvious. It's straight up just plain obvious. And that's an issue that they had because of the requirements that they were putting on their potential recruits. I guarantee they could have found, people say this all the time, they could have found all sorts of people to fill that roster. Yeah, they could. They just chose not to recruit those particular people. So it is a self-inflicted issue in terms of Paragon, I think. I don't necessarily think there's anything that Blizzard could have done any differently. Like, it's not like if 25-man's dropped more loot that all of a sudden there would be more people available for 25-man for Paragon. I don't think that would actually happen. So I don't know. People talk about how 25-man is dying a lot, and it's true that a lot of 25-man guilds are dying. It's true that a lot of it's true that 25-mans are in kind of a bad place, but that's not an indication that the 25-man guild, like every 25-man guild, is just like running on vapor at this point and going to keel over at any point. That's not. There are more than 25 people that want to continue doing 25-man raids. Ergo, 25-man raids are not dying. That's a dumb thing. They're sick. They're not dying. It's like saying, I've got a cold. I'm dying. Right. All right. This next call is brought to you by Netflix as well, but this time it's brought to you by a movie that's close to my heart. This next question is brought to you by Justin Bieber. Never Say Never, which just makes me think of the American Tale. Never say never. Blah blah. I don't know the rest of this song. All right, caller, what is your name and tell us where you're from?
My name is apparently brought to you by Justin Bieber on Netflix. Yay!
You have a radio voice if I've ever heard one. All right.
It's a good thing I used to work a lot of drive-through Carl's Jr. then, huh?
Yes, sounds great. All right, tell us your name and tell us where you're from. Besides Carl's Jr.
Right. I'm Jake. I'm still from Aradar as last week. Only people can hear me this time, apparently.
Everybody
my question,
we're linked.
Yeah, my question is about games like Borderlands and Diablo using the style of gameplay padding in which, like, you beat the game on normal, you get to level like 20, 25, whatever it is, and then to reach your max level, you play through the same content again on, you know, harder and harder difficulties. You know, old school games were just like, you know, start the game, you want to be easy, hard, or kick you in the butt. And is this a way that developers are now just kind of padding their game to make it have a longer lifespan without actually additional development time? Or is it just what the standard is going to be now?
I think that's kind of tough to...
No, I'm just going to say, can you go ahead and just rephrase what he just said again? Because I can't hear anything anymore. And I don't think it's his fault. I'm just saying, like, it's so loud in here that I feel like I need to yell because I can't hear anything anymore. And it ain't even their fault. Poor guy calls in. He's like, oh, hey, guys, I got a question. Can y'all hear the words that I'm saying that come out of my mouth? Can y'all got a question? Go. Can't understand anything they're saying. Exactly.
Down now.
Wow.
Happy? You happy?
Wow.
It's down. So I think that's definitely a good point because I liked it when games were just hard. That's how you made the longevity of your game live, was the game was just hard and you felt accomplished when you beat it, and I mean, this can't necessarily work for the MMO style, but in console games, the game was over when you were done. You didn't have to go back for a whole bunch of achievements or all this other stuff. You beat the game and you had a moment where you could put it down and be done with it and feel like you complete it. And I feel like, you know, Diablo and Borderlands and their way of just being like, you beat it on easy, now try it on normal, is so slighting to the experience of the game, because you don't get to enjoy the game. Like, you have to, I don't like making the decision about how difficult the game should be when you first start. I don't know about you guys. I like a game to just feel like I bought the game, now I'm going to experience it the way that it should be, the way that the developers made it.
I think the way Diablo did it was stupid. Using Diablo 3 specifically, the way they did it was stupid. Using difficulty as a form of progression is just dumb. Like saying, I beat the game on easy, now it's time to do it on normal again. Like, one of the big problems I had, like, I enjoyed going through Diablo 3 on Nightmare, and I enjoyed going through it on Hell. I didn't enjoy the experience on Inferno, which was what you're just stuck with at a certain point. It's like, well, this is how you play the game now, is on Inferno, because that's it. That's what we've got left for you to do. And I didn't like having to play through it on normal, which was, like, mind-numbingly easy, because I felt like I wasn't getting an experience. It was just a formality. Like, oh, you have successfully completed the game, now you can actually play something that's even semi-enjoyable. So I didn't like the way that Diablo did it at all. One thing that Torchlight 2 has done, very similar game, but all they did was they said, okay, you pick your difficulty, and that's the difficulty that you play at. And when you get to the end and you have to play back through again, it just continues from your level. Obviously, the game naturally gets more difficult as you get higher level, but it's not using it as a form of progression where you're saying, okay, now that you've beaten it on this difficulty level, you have to move on to this difficulty level, and you have to have done that first one before you can do the second. So I think that difficulty method is that setup of completed on this difficulty before you can do this difficulty, especially when it's starting you off at super easy mode. I don't like that at all. I'm a little bit more okay with you beat it on hard mode, so now you can get insanity mode. But that's because, like, you're already throwing someone into an extremely difficult experience to begin with, presumably at the very least. As for the whole concept of, well, I got to max level and now I started the game over again, I don't particularly have an issue with that concept, just because I've always sort of viewed it as optional, like in any game. Like, it's kind of like going back to hunt for achievements or something. It's like, okay, I can play through the game again on the same character if, for whatever reason, I just feel like I want to do that. If I would like to play this game some more, I can do that. But in a game like Borderlands, the original Borderlands, I beat it once. I played through it again on a different character, but not through on the same character again going through the second playthrough. I just didn't do it. I just wasn't interested. I was like, okay, cool, I beat the campaign. That was what was interesting to me in that game. I beat it, I was done, and I thought, okay, well, that's cool, no problem. Borderlands 2, I'm more than likely going to be the same way, where I'll complete the game, and I'm probably not going to bother with the New Game Plus mechanic. I don't begrudge that it's there. I don't have a problem with it being there. It's just not content that is for me, so I don't feel the need to particularly do it. I don't know, it seems like the issue is more one of perception, where you feel like I have to get my money's worth or whatever out of the game by playing through it again. I haven't gotten my 120 hours of gameplay out of this yet, so I need to play through it again. And honestly, I think that's and it may just be, I mean, getting back to one of the earlier questions, where now I just get to play different games all the time, so that may just be a weird scenario for me that I find myself in as a content creator. But I don't have a problem with saying, okay, well, I'm done with this game now, and just being done with it. I don't have a problem with that. If I'm finished,
even if you don't, but even if you don't feel, because what about the idea of feeling like it's there's a completionist in everyone. I can remember going back and I can look at Zelda Ocarina of Time and know that I went and did everything in that game. But when you get that New Game Plus, and now I'm referencing a different game, but when you get that harder difficulty, do you not feel slighted, like you didn't complete everything because you didn't go back and play it all from the beginning and get that feeling of, I did it on the harder mode now too? Or do you think that maybe just varies to person?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but if I don't want to play a game, I just don't play it. That's pretty much it. If I don't feel like playing a game, I just don't. That's all it comes down to.
Sure.
Isn't that the way the video games is nowadays? It's like, instead of actually making lots and lots of real difficult content, they just kind of say, okay, here's all the content we come up with. and here's like 15 different difficulty levels. And then that's pretty much, that's at the end. So you go through and you play a game for the first time and you're having a good time, you're doing your thing and everything, and then you're done like 25 minutes later, or 4 hours or whatever it is. And then you go back and it's like, oh, why don't you go ahead and try that on a harder difficulty level? Oh, that's right, because we didn't make content, we just made harder difficulty.
I think there are shades of gray is kind of a bad term. There's a whatever, I'm gonna call it shades of gray.
Are there 40 of them? I'm just asking.
Yeah, well, there's upwards of 50 shades of gray on this particular issue.
Damn.
But I think
Only about 10.
maybe 10. Maybe it is only
Tell
10.
tell that to
We don't have our
Photoshop.
Pantone. I'm gonna have to get out my Pantone color sheet or whatever. No, I think as long as I guess for me, as long as the base game has enough content to it. Like that was another thing that really disappointed me about Diablo 3 was I felt like there wasn't any content there. I felt like, okay, cool, I played through I went through the whole game in one night. That was it. I'd done all of the content in one night, and then there was the extra difficulty levels to do. If there was something more like Borderlands, as an example, that has a similar mechanic, where I can still actually get a good 20 or 30 hours out of the just going through the story the first time, that I'm a little bit more okay with, because that to me means there's still something actually reasonable there in terms of content if I should decide not to do the extra content. So I guess it just comes down to if I feel like there's not enough to the game, if I feel like there wasn't anything there unless I play through it extra times, then yeah, that's totally just the developers copping out and saying, well, we don't want to actually come up with more content, so we'll just make the current content more difficult and force you to run it again. When there's enough content there to begin with, where I can feel like, all right, I've actually gotten a full featured experience playing through this thing, then that's fine for me. I don't begrudge them saying, and we can, put in 10 lines of code that lets you play through it again if you want to. I don't have a problem with that one.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that one. So let's jump in and take another caller. Caller, you're on the line with Gamebreaker After Dark. Tell us your name. Tell us where you're from.
Hey, how's it going? This is Scott from Chicago. My question is between WoW and Guild Wars 2 with the world versus world, with the objectives and people trying to get together, alliances and whatnot, versus the new type of, or even retro, world versus world that's going on in World of Warcraft, where it's just taking a bunch of different zones from a bunch of different servers, bringing them all together, people getting there not over objectives, but just smashing each other. Which one do you guys prefer? And which do you see going forward into new MMOs will probably prevail?
Now, real quick before you go, because I've been mostly doing more later content. Are you seeing really big world PvP battles erupting in some of the older zones? Is that actually organically happening now?
Yeah, that's actually been happening. There's been a few good battles against Illidan and whatnot with the Horde and from Tichondrius and whatnot. We've had some fairly interesting battles.
I've got to say, I think some of the best world PvP that I personally remember is all the ones that are made organically. It's the ones where there is no resource to gain. There is no, push or pull. Like the push or pull is literally like what you would see back in the day at Terran Mill. You would kill the flight, at me being Alliance, we would go kill the Terran Mill wyverns and just basically try and hold all the Horde there and keep it for as long as we could with 5 or 6 people and then try and leave with our dignity before too many people showed up. Like that to me were some of the biggest memories of what world PvP was, and it had no objective. It was literally just 4 or 5 of my friends just logging on and enjoying the content and just kind of making our own. When you add objectives and when you add reasons and specific things that you need to do, you start to add in an element of competitiveness. And as we've seen in AB, as we see in League of Legends, like we mentioned at the top of the show, once you add in a competitive element, you add in people who want to win, and they can sometimes, no matter what type of player you are, the people who really want to win will always throw blame outward to everyone else, and make it about the competitive experience, not maybe just about enjoying what's going on and the fun you're having. So me personally, I hope that world PvP and the way that World of Warcraft is meshing these zones together prevails in terms of what players enjoy more.
Yeah, I think I think looking specifically at the question, do I like Guild Wars 2's World vs. World, or do I like just the more organic world PvP that sort of happens to an extent? I guess it's kind of being forced a little bit in World of Warcraft, but it's a little bit more organic than here's an objective, go take this objective. To me, it's apples to oranges. It's like, do I like steak or do I like hamburgers? And the answer is yes.
I like meat.
Yes. Yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of both of those things. Specifically, I do have a little bit of a hard time getting into Guild Wars 2, and I think I talked to, in the World vs. World, at least in Guild Wars 2, and I think I talked about this a little bit last week too, so I'm not going to go super involved. It's just the style of play there is very, very, very massive, and very little focus on what I as an individual are doing. There's certainly things that I can do as an individual that have an impact, but it's generally pretty small impact compared to something like a Battleground where I can specifically say, okay, I defended this node, I saved this node from the incoming enemy. I'm safe now. Like I've done something awesome right here. That's just me wanting to feel like the badass and pretty much just being a dick about it. So, me personally, I've had a little bit of trouble really getting, and I know it's a lot better if I was running with an organized group too, which I haven't been. So it's just a matter of I haven't happened across the situation that really grabs me in Guild Wars 2's World vs. World. But I don't think that's an issue with how World vs. World is set up. I think it's just that it's a style of play that a lot of people like, obviously, because people freaking play it, right? So obviously people like it. And on the other hand, the stuff in World of Warcraft is something that people like too. I mean, I would agree that the organically created PvP in the past, like there was a mud that I used to play ages ago. Like 2 people are gonna know what a mud is, but I played one ages ago, and it was kind of awesome how just there was PvP enabled in it, and just the way the map was laid out. There were certain areas that were high traffic areas, and you had to go through them to get to certain other areas on the map. And those areas were always like really dangerous, which meant, and there weren't actual like NPC guards or anything like that. So there ended up being factions of people that were playing this game that would get themselves geared up as much as possible and actually just defend those specific places and say, look, this is a high traffic area, so we're just going to hang out in this area. We'll chat with everybody who else is hanging out there too, you know, hanging out. And if anybody tries to start anything, we will fight them and we will defend this area. And it was really cool. It was completely and totally organic. There was no system put in place to force this to happen. It just happened. That's just how things naturally evolved in this mud that I was playing. And that was really, really cool. And I have yet to play, I think actually Ultima Online ended up having some similar stuff, but I didn't really play Ultima Online a ton. So other than possibly that situation, I really have not come into an MMORPG, a full graphical 3D MMORPG that can really replicate that again. It just hasn't happened yet. There's always got to be some sort of system in place to incentivize players to say, okay, I'm going to go fight that guy because I can get something, instead of I'm going to go fight that guy because I happen to like fighting guys.
Yep. All right, let's jump in and take the next question here. We got a lot of you guys waiting on hold. We want to make sure we get to all of you guys. So, caller, you're on the phone with Gamebreaker After Dark. Tell us your name and where you're from.
Hi, my name is Dan Costelli from Seattle, Washington. You guys can hear me okay, right?
Yep. Good to hear you.
Yeah. Okay. All right, cool. So my question is concerning Guild Wars 2. It seems like, at least from my perspective, that a lot of players are kind of burnt out because there's not much of designated content. There's just about WW, which is somewhat of a giant Zerg fest, and then there's just structured PvP and then very difficult dungeons. And it seems like a lot of players are already burnt out and they're going back to World of Warcraft for the raiding. What do you think Arena could add to bring all those players back? Do you think maybe they'll make their own kind of rating system, or do you think they'll really just try people to push for structured PvP and use their systems?
I think for
damn, the tornado just went into his house. He's gone. Oh, thank you so much for calling in. We appreciate it. It's all. Goodbye.
My personal thing with Guild Wars is I always knew I was going to play it alongside another MMO. And with that in mind, I have taken Guild Wars at my own pace. And that has kept the game very much alive in terms of the content that I have to experience and what I can go in and play. So I'm not hitting that, but I know a lot of other players and other people have hit max level and are hitting the wall that you're talking about. So what can they add? It's tough to say. Wouldn't you guys agree? Just because from my experience with the Breaking the Trinity video that we did, Guild Wars doesn't lend itself to conventional raiding, and I don't think it ever will. So they can't add in a versatile PvE system that holds players the same as what it does in World of Warcraft. That is what World of Warcraft and other games like it is for.
All right, well, before, our friend on the call got swept off to the land of Oz and stuff, I think what's happening here is in Guild Wars 2, they don't really focus on the same stuff that, like, let's say World of Warcraft, for example, maybe, that they do, right? So, like, we have what's called quote-unquote endgame, right? And so that's something that's a word that maybe our friend there was probably trying not to say because that's a bad word. Don't say that when you talk about Guild Wars 2. Oh, God, they come on, jump down your throats and start saying things. Oh, endgame and Guild Wars 2, freaking out, bad words and such. Anyways, so, yeah, I think the thing is with Guild Wars 2 is they just say, hey, look, we got a whole bunch of cool ideas and things that we could do. We're just going to sprinkle them all over the world. You can go and do all that stuff. All these other things, all these different options for things to do if you're bored and stuff like that. Go jump around on rocks in the air and everything, and vistas and all these other puzzles and whatnot and everything, right? Okay, you can go and play puzzles if you want to play puzzles and everything, but if you want to do what's called quote-unquote endgame, you go and play something like World of Warcraft or maybe some of the other big MMOs and all that. And it's not there's a bad thing at all. It ain't a bad thing at all. I'm not saying that, it doesn't have endgame. No, don't go there, don't play that game. It's just different. And that's the problem is that all these players who play World of Warcraft, they decide they can go ahead and play, Guild Wars 2, and they're looking for this quote-unquote endgame, and they ain't finding it, and they're freaking out. They don't know what to do with themselves because they're conditioned to play games in some certain way. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%, absolutely. It's been kind of amazing. Guild Wars 2 has made an amazing experiment in that regard, and that's why I've been so paying so much attention to the game, especially up until release, because it really just it's kind of awesome to see somebody say, okay, well, we're going to have an MMO that people play because they like to play MMOs, not because they're trying to get anything out of it, not because they're grinding towards the next piece of gear, not because they're, they've got to get that next rank or whatever. They're playing it because, well, they like to play the game. Then it's been really, really interesting to discover how many people don't actually like to play MMOs. I honestly think that's a real big part of it. A huge part of the World of Warcraft gameplay is chasing the carrot on the stick, the grind. That's just straight up. That is a pillar of how World of Warcraft works. Is you are constantly working a little bit towards getting that next piece of whatever it is, getting that next little reward of some sort. Guild Wars 2, there are elements of that. But they're not like major character power rewards, not in the sense that you have them in World of Warcraft. So what happens is you have a game that, if you play it, you better like the act of playing it. And I think what we're seeing is a whole lot of people discovering that maybe when there's no grind, maybe they just don't like how the hotbar MMO plays. Maybe they'd rather pick up a first-person shooter, or they'd pick up a MOBA, or a real-time strategy title, or something like that. Maybe they'd rather play something that's just not that style of gameplay. When you're being injected into that third-person hotbar style MMO setup, I think honestly a lot of people just don't like that style of gameplay, and the only reason they'll do it in World of Warcraft is because of the grind. So it's been an amazing experiment in that regard. Obviously, a lot of people do still like that sort of gameplay. I mean, you look at Togrim, who plays the hell out of some Guild Wars 2 and seems to be enjoying himself rather thoroughly in the game. He obviously just likes that style of gameplay. Awesome. Good for him. I think there are a lot of MMO gamers who just wanted to hate on World of Warcraft, and they said, well, Guild Wars 2 is going to come out. It's going to be the WoW killer. I'm going to jump
on that bandwagon so I can say I was there.
Yeah, exactly.
Get a postcard or something.
Exactly. I'm going to jump in on this because this game's going to kill World of Warcraft. And then they got over there and they went, oh, this actually isn't anything even at all like World of Warcraft. I'm the same way as you, Mike, is that I picked up Guild Wars 2 knowing full well that it was going to be a game that I would not play for long periods of time and that I would come back to from time to time. Like, I love the exploration element of Guild Wars 2. That's the biggest thing for me, is like the jumping puzzles, the vistas, that's all that stuff that Darnell was talking about a second ago. That's what I really love about Guild Wars 2, is just running around the environment and being the most awesome little bundle of awesome that's ever been injected into any video game ever. Seriously, Ashura need to be in every single game. But they're so awesome, and then they do the laugh and they roll on the floor. It's amazing. I will log into Guild Wars 2 and just look at my character for long periods of time, and I swear to God, it's not creepy.
No, that's creepy. That's creepy. don't try to be like, yeah, I'm gonna say something really creepy, and it'd be like, but I ain't trying to be creepy. That don't work like that.
I like to set up like a little window so that I can look through that at my character. It heightens the experience for me. No, I feel like, yeah, I feel like there's just, I think we're just discovering that a lot of people, when the grind isn't there, don't actually like playing World of Warcraft. Like, if the grind was removed from World of Warcraft, which everybody always says, oh, it's just a grind, all it is a grind. Oh, I hate this game so much. If you took it out, I think those people would just not play, because they just don't like that style of gameplay. So it's just not it's a very simplistic style of gameplay when you're not chasing after something. And I think that's what we're seeing with Guild Wars 2, is a lot of people who are burning themselves out because they're looking for the grind, and they're saying, well, the grind isn't really here. And I know there are things that you can grind in Guild Wars 2, don't get me wrong about that.
Yeah, there are.
But it's something that...
Damn, everyone creepy on the shoulder today. What's going on?
Yeah.
Damn.
For example, my Ashura. No, but I think... Given how ArenaNet's been reacting with things like the diminishing returns on dynamic events and whatnot, it seems like they're very actively trying to discourage that style of gameplay. And so people are going, what do you mean I can't grind? And ArenaNet's like, well, we're not a grinding game. We don't want you to. And then that's that. But yeah, I think I've rambled enough about that one. But
all right, let's jump in and take another caller. Caller, you're on the line with Gamebreaker After Dark. Tell us your name. Tell us where you're from.
Name is Jay. I'm from Canda, Ontario. Repeat caller. First off, again, you guys got an amazing show.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
It's all this guy.
Yeah, Canada.
So my question here is, I'm going to go with World of Warcraft for a second, but it's more of a general, broad question. With World of Warcraft obviously being the biggest MMO to date at the current moment with sub-base,
and right now is September 2nd, 2012. Dated. Now we can't get in trouble. All right.
Yeah, and let's exclude EVE Online because they have a very select player base that will probably never change. When World of Warcraft one day decides to go free to play, we know it will happen someday down the road. Do you think all future MMOs or any MMOs that have come after World of Warcraft will be able to survive as a sub base, or are they going to kind of have to be forced to go free to play because World of Warcraft finally went free to play?
Titan is my answer. And real quick, yes, I know it's October. I read real fast. I totally messed that up completely, and I'm getting called out for it. It's October. Guys, October 12th or 2nd. I don't even care.
I was trying to think of the date. All I could think about was grinding that is Sura. That's all. That's always on my brain. I'm sorry.
Can MMO survive after World of Warcraft goes free to play with a subscription model? I think if the content's there, absolutely. I don't mind paying $15 a month for a mass amount of content, and I feel like I'm getting my money's worth. That's one of the things that took me away from console gaming, was paying $60 for a game that lasts 15-20 hours. I didn't feel I was getting my value there. So I am personally willing to pay a subscription if I'm getting the value out of it. With games like Guild Wars 2 making a little bit harder and tougher competition, and when you said when and if down the line World of Warcraft goes free to play, the market will change. But me personally, and I feel like there are other people out there like me, I'll keep paying for an MMO if I'm getting my money's worth.
I think what's kind of funny and amusing is how MMOs is like getting rid of the subscription plan and all that stuff, right? But then all these first-person shooters have one. Damn, that's funny. Oh, that's hilarious. I don't understand why that is, but just want to bring that up. Anyways, I guess probably should ask the question then, since y'all going to talk. Anyway, all right. So, anyways, what I was really going to say is, Yeah, okay, yeah, games like Eve, there we go. Okay, that's a good example. Here's a game where, you know, you have this tight-knit community, and they kind of all have their thing, and they pay the subscription and everything, but they have this thing called Plex where they can kind of go ahead and they can beat each other up and take their lunch money and pay for their subscriptions and everything, right? So that system kind of works. I think that kind of nice, right? Some people probably ain't paying nothing for any of the subscription fees and everything because they beating people up all the time. So then, with other stuff like, you know, maybe subscription-based MMOs as big as World of Warcraft, they go free to play. It's gonna be difficult for some of these smaller companies to be able to get away with it. But if you have a system similar to like Eve with the Plex and all that stuff, then maybe you can get away with it. You know, if you go around, just punch someone in the face, take the lunch money, and pay for your sub, then you know you'll be all right.
Yeah, I think the Plex approach can definitely work for a sub-based MMO that wants to still be getting a piece of the free-to-play market. Honestly, I think the question isn't so much can a sub-based MMO continue to survive. Honestly, I think they can. But it's more, is being a sub-based MMO even a good idea to begin with? Or is it just plain a better idea? Like, is it... A lot of people... Free-to-play has kind of had this stigma attached to it because of, let's face it, how poor a lot of the early free-to-play games were. It sort of had this stigma attached to it where it was like, well, it's free-to-play, so it's just a cheap knockoff. Or it's free-to-play, so it's bad. Or, you know, something along free-to-play is a bad thing, is the sort of idea that free-to-play has had attached to it. But now we're seeing games like, obviously, League of Legends, huge example, Blacklight Retribution, Air Mech, PlanetSide 2 is going to be free-to-play. All these different games coming up, Firefall, that are going to be, they're just embracing the free-to-play model and saying, yeah, no, this is actually what we want to do, because how much money, do I have? I have no idea how much money I've spent. I've probably spent about $500 on League of Legends at this point, and it's free. And it's just because I keep freaking having to, like, they have the skin sales, and I can't say no, man. I can't do it. I see the skins, and I go, I must have them. Sometime I'm gonna get Poppy in an ARAM, and I'm gonna be so mad that I didn't buy that Scarlet Knight Poppy skin. But
what about the Ezreal skin?
Oh, yeah, don't even remind me of that one. I don't even play it. I don't even play AD carry. I'm just bad at that. But I bought the Ezreal skin because I was like, no, I have to get it now because what if eventually I play Ezreal? What if at some point in the future I'm going to be so mad if I have to pay twice as much for this thing? I think, honestly, if the free-to-play model is done right, and by that I mean you're selling extra stuff that is unnecessary to the core gameplay element, when it's done right, you're selling the player, you've already sold the player, basically. When it's done properly, you have a player who's already invested in the game. Something like League of Legends, where you can play it and you go, okay, I'm having a lot of fun with this game. I'm really enjoying this right now. I'm going to drop some cash on a skin. I'm gonna pick up a Blitzcrank skin, because I just happen to really like playing Blitzcrank, and I want to get, like, players will suddenly perceive that completely and totally cosmetic extra bonus as something that is... it's actually going to improve their gameplay experience.
To an extent, because I just want to quickly throw in, to an extent, it does kind of, because if you're gonna pay for a skin of a character like that, you're more likely to have played that character more often. So it's not like you're just picking them up for the first time. So it does kind of mean a little bit.
Well, I mean, it's something that you say, okay, you have two kinds of free-to-play models. You have the kind of free-to-play model that says, we're going to make our game really, really fun to play so that people want to spend money on it. And then you have the free-to-play model that says, we're going to make our game just fun enough to play that people want to spend money on it. And that's the kind of model that fails and falls on its face all the time, where you have a game where it's like, okay, well, this game is fun, but it would be way more fun if you bought all this stuff. And people shy away from those kinds of games because they don't like, nobody likes loading up a game, even if they haven't spent any money on it. Nobody likes loading up a game and going, oh, well, I'm not getting the full experience right now. I'm a second-class citizen right now. Nobody likes that feeling. Whereas in a game like League of Legends, you can play it and be like, okay, no, actually, I mean, with some minimum of having spent time to level up and everything in League of Legends and get your runes and whatever. Which, side note, you can get boosts, but it's kind of a weird one. Never mind. I feel like when the free-to-play model is done properly, you're just selling players on something that they already enjoy, and they are more than willing to drop tons of cash on something that they're already enjoying. Like I said, I probably spent about $500 on League of Legends because it's a game that I enjoy playing, and I don't have to spend that money, but I wanted to. I felt like that was a worthwhile investment for me to spend that money on the different skins that I've gotten. in League of Legends. I feel like when the free-to-play model is done properly, it is absolutely far and away the best way to put your game together. Not a question of can we survive on a subscription-based model so much as do we even want to begin with. Is that even something that we want to do?
All right, you guys ready to break out the booze real quick? Darnell, you got to have some booze on you somewhere. I've got this fake bottle of champagne that's really a flashlight and some quarters. But everybody get ready. We have our first female caller on the line. Guys.
Oh, thank you very much for calling the Darnell Show. How are you doing today? Young lady, how may I help you? Go ahead.
Hi. I'm
Hello,
Cheyenne from Riverside, California.
Cheyenne, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I'm a big fan of your show, Darnell. I was wondering, do you think that that they put all the new rep lines in to get raiders to kind of do something other than just raid all day, every day?
So, Josh,
all right, so she said my name and then she's talking about PvE. Go, Lord.
Did they put all the dailies in to try to get raiders to do something else? To a degree, yeah. A lot of it is trying to get back to the days of a similar experience to what people had in the Burning Crusade, where you spent time inside the raid, but you also spent time outside of the raid preparing for it. You'd have to get your food ready. You'd have to get your flasks and everything ready, your elixirs, because that was you didn't flask for progression back then. You used elixirs, and you lost those every time you died. I think they're trying to add some of that feeling of doing some stuff outside the raid to improve your experience inside of the raid. Whether or not the gaming community is actually going to be receptive to that still remains to be seen. Personally, I like it. I like having stuff to do. I like being able to work on my progression in a way, even if it's not a direct manner, but work on my progression when we're not all online and together in the raid instance. I like being able to feel like I'm doing something right now that will help us progress faster when we actually have a raid night. I like that feeling. A lot of people don't. A lot of people look at that and saying, I only want to raid. I don't want to have to do this other stuff outside of the raid. So it's really, really interesting to see how the general populace ends up taking it. I feel like there's a lot of people. I feel like just the way that the dailies ended up getting set up in Mr. Pandaria is just a little bit off. A lot of people are feeling over-forced into doing them to the extent that they will do them more than they actually have to. Like I've got 2 weeks worth of lesser charms of good fortune saved up at this point. I don't even like. Am I going to even use all? I don't even know. Like I've got.
How do I hold all these lesser charms of good fortune?
Exactly. I can't hold all these lesser charms of good fortune. No, seriously though, they're clogging up my bag, and it's really frustrating. But I feel like people are doing more dailies than they actually have to really get the benefit that they're looking for out of it. Granted, there is the reputation gear assigned to it, and I'm still not terribly excited about that particular setup. But I think if there is an issue with how it's set up, it's probably that. It's that the reputation is assigned, or the Valor gear is connected with reputation. That feels kind of crappy to me. Other than that, I don't have a major problem with how the dailies are set up. Personally,
yeah. Isn't that just kind of the thing though? Like, you know, when we have like new expansions and all that stuff, that we're gonna have new reputations, we have to go and grind, and for the most part, you could probably knock out some of that stuff by wearing like a tablet or something, or going and doing the daily quests and all that stuff. It just kind of just par for the course, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm glad we had this conversation.
I see people in chat room right now. I just wanted to clear this up. I see people in chat room right now saying that the reputations got removed. The Justice Point reputation got removed. When I checked just before the raid, the Valor reputation, or the Valor Point reputation was still there. So it could be that changed. Excuse me. It could be that changed sometime since we went live. I haven't been able to check because I'm doing a show right now.
How
damn, you just hit a suck a chat room. Oh, look at you. You think you have all the answers, but you ain't got them on top of my boy Lord. No, damn, y'all got told, chat room. Damn.
All right, let's jump in and take
this
this
right about this, Lord. I don't just stick up for nobody. Come on, then you know, better be right about this. Gotcha.
Yeah, you better. Yeah, but what if it might go live after this? At which point my timestamp that was a horrible date will still be active. Last caller right here on Gamebreaker After Dark. Tell us your name, tell us where you're from.
Hi, my name is Matt. I'm from Ontario, Canada. I got a question about Guild Wars 2, but gaming as well. In Guild Wars 2, ArenaNet seems like they're stunting any sort of gold farming possible, like increased gold costs on armor merchants, making you actually get penalized for clearing dungeons. Do you think this is a good idea to stunt your players by making them have to do more work to get gold?
Well, you got to have something to spend the money on, right? But first off, before we go any further, is this the After Dark, the Canadian show or something like that? Are we on HGTV? Is Homes on Homes coming after this, or Sarah's House or something? Is that what's happening here? Anyways, I'm sorry. Thank you very much. We love Canada. Okay.
Happy Thanksgiving in like a week.
Yeah. Oh, y'all have so many different Thanksgivings, so many things. Like, anyways, so
Monday.
So you got to have something to spend your money on, right? You got to have repair bills, and you got to buy consumables and things like that. You got to have things that you got to put out, so you can put money out. Otherwise, people just gonna start earning all kinds of money, and they have nothing to spend it on. All of a sudden, all the economy's gonna get all jacked up, and people who just start now ain't gonna have enough money to buy anything because everyone's super rich because ain't nothing to spend money on. So you got to have something to spend stuff on.
Yeah, I think I'm still a bit iffy on how ArenaNet's handling the whole thing, because yeah, you do there has to be gold sinks. There has to be stuff that you jump into and it's like, okay, yeah, this is where my gold goes. I feel like ArenaNet's been a bit harsh on that, and it may just be because of how the game is set up. They need to make sure that the auction house doesn't get so ridiculously bloated that 6 months from now, if you don't have tons and tons and tons of gold, you're completely screwed. They actually ran into a problem in Guild Wars 1 where gold ended up being completely and totally worthless, and people traded things for dyes because that actually had a value. The gold was just something that, you've got 400,000 gold, cool, nobody cares. I spit earlier and landed on 4,000 gold and didn't even wipe it off. I don't even care about spit, apparently. That analogy fell apart.
Damn, I guess I'm wearing gold because I'm spitting myself so I didn't wipe it off.
Yeah, something. But no, that is a problem that they ran into in the first Guild Wars, where they had gold that was just meaningless. So I imagine that's part of it. I am kind of concerned, though, that they may be going a little bit too harsh in the diminishing returns and getting to the point where like he said, you're getting into a situation where you're actually just penalized for running dungeons. It's actually bad for you to be running dungeons. I'm worried that they're getting a little bit too far in that direction. It's definitely, there's a very, very fine line there, and I think they may have crossed it into the area where people start to feel like, well, I'd like to play this game, but I would be doing it wrong if I did. It's better for me to just sit here with my gold on my pile of gold and feel good about myself.
That's the wrap it up music. Time to wrap it up, Lo. Thank you very much for talking. All right. Thank you very much for wrapping it up. Done.
Darnell, you giving the outro? You got this?
Yeah, so first off, we must apologize real quick and do a retraction because earlier we said that was the first female caller and that was in fact the second one, but it's okay. Mike S still think it's September, so it's all right. We're all right with this. So thank you very much for watching Gamebreaker's After Dark show, where you call and ask us questions, and if the show is terrible, it's pretty much your fault. And y'all over there, it's your fault too, so thank you very much for calling, everybody. Make sure you follow me at Darnell Sup. I would look down and point, but unfortunately, I'm not able to do that. Back to you, S.
All right, and be sure to follow Josh Allen right there at Devilore. There's a whole bunch of stuff over for Zam.com, over on Tankspot.com. Weekly Mormon PST on tap. Just a lot of stuff. I'm sure I'm missing some others. You can follow me right here at Mike Schaffnitz. Find me right here on Gamebreaker TV. As Darnell said, be sure to follow at Gamebreaker TV. Be sure to check out the website if you haven't already. We cover a whole bunch of gaming news and have a whole bunch of shows for other MMO-related topics. Star Wars: The Old Republic, Guild Wars, World of Warcraft. Guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week.